Let's be honest. We underestimate small moments. We treat them like passing seconds instead of emotional signals. A hug is one of those moments. It seems simple, maybe even forgettable, but it's not. A hug is one of the first physical bridges between two people. It's how someone feels you, literally and emotionally, in a matter of seconds. And the way you respond to it can either make you unforgettable or easy to move on from. This isn't about playing games. It's about mastering presence. Because when a woman knows how to respond to a hug in a way that's warm, self-assured, and just a little emotionally mysterious, she doesn't just leave an impression. She becomes the one he replays in his mind long after she's gone. Let's talk about how to turn something as simple as a hug into a moment that makes him think about you for days. A hug isn't just a hug. It's a message, a subtle and unspoken form of communication. So often, people treat it like a formality, like it's just a physical gesture that fills space between greetings and goodbyes. But the truth is, a hug is a moment of influence. It carries emotional energy. And if you can understand what it represents, you can use it to create a moment he won't forget. When someone hugs you, especially a man you're interested in, that contact is his way of feeling out the space between the two of you. It's not just his arms wrapping around you. It's a subconscious way of asking, what's here? It's his body asking a question before his words do. And most people don't realize they're answering it with how they lean in, how they breathe, how long they linger, or how quickly they pull away. All of that speaks volumes. Think about it. There are hugs that feel cold and disconnected. They're quick, barely there, squeezes that carry no weight. Then there are the ones that feel too much, too needy, too clingy, like someone is trying to hold on for longer than the moment naturally allows. But in between those two extremes is the kind of hug that leaves a mark, the one that feels present, calm, confident. It says, I'm here, I'm open, but I'm also whole on my own. That's the hug that stays on his mind. You see, when a man hugs a woman, he notices how she receives it. Even if he doesn't consciously think about it, something inside him registers the difference. Did she rush through it? Did she melt into it too easily? Or did she pause just long enough to let him feel her presence without giving everything away? That last one, the one with just the right amount of balance, is the one that pulls at him because it hints at depth. And men crave depth more than they realize. Now, this isn't about pretending or performing. It's about understanding the energy exchange happening in that moment. When you respond to a hug with grounded energy, not stiff, not over-enthusiastic, you send a message that you're emotionally attuned, that you're not desperate for his approval, but you're also not emotionally guarded. It's a moment where you allow connection without losing your sense of self. And that, right there, is powerful. We live in a world where people rush everything. The first date, the first touch, the first kiss. But when someone feels like you don't rush the moment, when you give that hug a beat of real energy, a breath of your full presence, they feel it. And more importantly, they remember it. It tells him that you're not just moving through the motions, you're actually in the moment. And people who live in the moment leave impressions that linger. So next time you find yourself in that space when he goes in for that hug, Don't overthink it. Just take a breath. Let your body soften, not collapse, into the moment. Let your arms wrap around him in a way that's gentle but grounded. You don't have to squeeze. You don't have to linger too long. Just hold, breathe, and release with presence. That alone can be magnetic. What makes it even more memorable is your emotional tone during the hug. Are you smiling with your body? Are you giving warmth without asking for anything? Are you letting him feel like you're safe to be close to, but also not begging to be held? That's the balance. That's what creates emotional intrigue. A man might walk away from that hug wondering what it was about you that felt different. He might not be able to explain it, but it will stick with him. And the reason is simple. We remember people who are emotionally balanced. We remember people who don't try too hard, but also don't hold back. That kind of presence where you're fully in the moment, but not seeking anything from it, is rare. It's attractive. And in a world of surface level interactions, it stands out. So often, we think we need to do something big to be remembered. We think we need to impress someone with words, outfits, grand gestures. But sometimes, the smallest moments are the most powerful ones. Sometimes, all it takes is how you respond to a hug with calm confidence, emotional warmth, and just a little bit of mystery to plant a thought in his mind that keeps coming back. He'll go home and think about how good it felt, how effortless, how real, and he won't necessarily be able to explain it, but he'll want to feel it again. That's how you stay on someone's mind, not by overwhelming them, not by pulling them in too hard, but by giving just enough of yourself to make them curious about what else is there. In that one hug, you have a chance to say a lot without ever opening your mouth. You get to say, I'm open, I'm present, I'm not afraid of connection, but I also don't need to chase it. That message, that emotional signal is more compelling than any pickup line, more seductive than any outfit, more impactful than any flirtation. So remember this, a hug is a window, a soft doorway into something more. If you learn to walk through it with grace, self-respect, and presence, he won't just remember your touch. He'll remember how he felt in your presence. And feelings, more than anything else, are what keep people coming back. Confidence isn't always loud. It doesn't have to walk into a room and announce itself. In fact, the most unforgettable kind of confidence often shows up quietly, especially in intimate moments. When it comes to something as simple and delicate as a hug, the way you carry yourself speaks louder than any words. That soft, calm kind of confidence, the kind that says you're completely at ease with yourself, is magnetic. And that's what leaves a man thinking about you long after the moment is over. There's a unique power in softness when it's backed by self-assurance. Most people associate softness with vulnerability or even weakness. But when you're soft and confident at the same time, that combination becomes unforgettable. It shows that you're not afraid to feel, not afraid to be close, and not afraid to show warmth, but also that you're not doing it to get anything from him. You're not clinging, you're not performing, you're simply present, grounded in who you are, and offering your presence without apology. When a man hugs a woman, he picks up on that. Again, it's not always conscious, but there's something deeply attractive about a woman who can melt into a hug without losing her identity. The woman who knows her worth doesn't try to prove anything in those moments. She doesn't overcompensate. She doesn't try to make the hug last longer than it should. She simply lets it be what it is, a moment of connection, and she shows up for it fully. That's the kind of energy that lingers in his mind. This kind of confidence doesn't scream, it breathes. It allows space, and when he feels that, something in him relaxes. He's not being pulled or pushed, he's being met. That's rare, because most people fall into two categories. Either they're guarded and don't want to be touched emotionally, or they throw themselves into closeness hoping it will create connection. But the woman who can be warm without needing anything in return, she stands out. It's like being wrapped in something soft that also has structure. There's comfort, but there's also strength. And that's exactly the impression you leave when you hug with confidence in your softness. You say to him, I'm not afraid to be close, and I'm not afraid to let go. That kind of emotional composure is attractive on a level most people don't even understand. Because here's the truth. Anyone can give physical affection. Anyone can wrap their arms around someone and hold on. But when your energy behind it is grounded and clean, when it comes from a place of inner security, it feels completely different. It makes him feel safe, and more importantly, it makes him feel like you're someone who doesn't just need love, you give it from a place of fullness. That's powerful, because people remember how you made them feel in those small, quiet moments. He may not consciously register the details of the hug, but he'll remember how it felt to be held by someone who wasn't trying to get anything out of the moment, someone who didn't use the hug as a test or a tool or a signal of insecurity. He'll remember that it felt calm, that it felt genuine, and he'll associate that feeling with you. It's not about seduction, it's about presence. And that's a distinction that changes everything. When you bring emotional presence into a hug, it says everything about who you are without having to say a word. It tells him that you're in tune with yourself, that you're not afraid of intimacy, and that you don't need to perform in order to be wanted. You're just there. And that in itself is more attractive than any carefully planned move or line. Most people aren't used to that. They're used to either emotional unavailability or emotional overdrive. So when he encounters someone who can show care without clinging, warmth without want, and softness without submission, it throws him off. In the best way. It makes him question what kind of woman you are. It makes him curious. And curiosity is what keeps you on his mind. That kind of energy doesn't beg for validation. It doesn't hope for a reaction. It simply leaves a subtle emotional fingerprint that stays with him. He might go about his day and find himself thinking about how he felt in your arms, not because the hug was extraordinary in technique, but because the energy behind it was rare, grounded, emotionally safe, free from expectation. That's what confidence in softness does. It creates an experience, one that feels different from the noise of the world, one that feels refreshing. He won't feel like he was just another guy you hugged. He'll feel like there was something personal, intentional, yet effortless about it. And that sense of effortlessness is what makes it unforgettable. So next time you find yourself in a moment like that, a moment where your arms are around someone and there's just a brief second of closeness, don't overthink it. Let yourself be soft, but do it from a place of strength. Let your hug speak for you. Not in desperation, not in demand, but in quiet assurance. Let it say, when you show up like that, people feel it, they respect it, and they remember it. You don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to prove your worth. Your presence becomes the proof. And a hug done with that kind of quiet confidence becomes more than just a moment. It becomes a memory, one that makes him wonder what else there is to discover about you. And that wonder, that's how you stay on his mind. There's something deeply human about wanting to feel seen, felt, and understood. And one of the most instinctive ways we seek that is through touch, especially something as simple as a hug. But what many people don't realize is that the way you respond to a hug can be the difference between forgettable and unforgettable. It's not about intensity, it's about emotional alignment. When you mirror his energy and then add a touch of warmth, it creates a subtle emotional experience that stays with him longer than you think. People often believe that being remembered means doing something extraordinary, dramatic, or loud. But the truth is, we remember the people who made us feel safe, acknowledged, and emotionally comfortable in their presence. When someone hugs you and you meet their energy, not overdoing it, not shrinking away, but simply matching the tone and adding a layer of intentional softness, it disarms them. It invites them into something that feels familiar but elevated. And that's where connection lives. Think about it like music. When two instruments play the same note at the same time, they create harmony. But when one adds a slight variation, something warmer or deeper, it creates emotional depth. It's no longer just sound, it's feeling. That's what it's like to mirror someone's hug and then add that calm, grounded warmth. It tells them, I'm tuned in to you, I'm present, and I'm emotionally secure enough to offer comfort without needing anything in return. It's easy to fall into extremes when someone touches you. Some people freeze up trying to protect their space because they fear vulnerability. Others lean in too far, turning what should be a moment of shared connection into an emotional grab. But the sweet spot is in the middle, the place where you respond without resistance, but also without need. You meet his hug with presence. Then you gently layer in your own energy, that addition, the warmth, the ease, the subtle sense of being emotionally at home makes him feel something real. Men are often not used to that kind of emotional balance. They're used to either being the one to lead and carry the emotional tone or being overwhelmed by emotional intensity. But when you simply reflect what they give and add a calm softness to it, it surprises them. Not in a loud way, but in a what just happened kind of way. That quiet sense of wonder is what keeps you in his thoughts. So how do you mirror his energy in a hug? It starts with attunement. Feel the kind of hug he's giving. Is it a quick squeeze, playful and casual? Is it slow and meaningful, full of stillness? Don't overanalyze it, just feel it. Let yourself sense the rhythm and the intention behind it. Then match it, not in mimicry, but in spirit. If it's light-hearted, you don't need to turn it into a grand emotional statement. If it's deep, don't cut it short or laugh it off. Let it be what it is. And then add a breath, a pause, a moment of soft presence. That's your warmth. That's the part that's uniquely yours. What you're doing in that moment is offering emotional generosity. Not with words, not with gifts, but with your ability to meet someone emotionally where they are and gently elevate the moment. That's what makes him feel like he just touched something deeper, something he can't quite name, something he wants to feel again. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to try hard. You don't need to perform. You just need to be tuned into the moment and comfortable in your own skin. That's what makes the warmth you add so compelling. It's not for show. It's not a tactic. It's just you showing up with grace and confidence in your own emotional space. And that feels different to him. It feels rare because, again, people remember energy more than actions. He may not recall exactly how long the hug lasted or what you were wearing or what either of you said, but he will remember how emotionally safe it felt, how his body felt relaxed in your presence, how he wasn't being pulled or pushed, just met. And in a world full of rushed moments and surface level interactions, that kind of calm, embodied presence is You also don't need to rush what happens next. Let the hug end naturally. Don't be the first to pull away, but don't cling either. If you can hold it for a second longer than expected with that same quiet energy, it sends a subtle message. I'm not afraid of closeness. Then, when you do let go, let your eyes meet his, just for a moment. That eye contact, without pressure or intensity, becomes the emotional echo of the hug. That's what he replays in his mind later. That's the detail that sticks. It's funny how small gestures hold so much power. A hug isn't just about physical closeness. It's about emotional resonance. When you learn how to meet someone with balanced energy and layer in your unique warmth, you stop being just another woman he hugged. You become an experience, a feeling, a question he wants to answer. And when you become a feeling instead of just a face, that's when you stay on his mind. Not because you tried to impress him, not because you made a big move, but because you understood the emotional undercurrent of the moment and you responded with grounded grace. That's the kind of energy that doesn't just connect, you linger, you live quietly in his thoughts. You become the moment he compares others to without even realizing it. And all it took was one hug. One moment, one subtle offering of your presence, mirrored with care and filled with warmth. Sometimes the most unforgettable part of a connection isn't the grand gesture, it's the moment you pull away. Not in a cold or dismissive way, but in a quiet, composed way that says, I don't need to hold on to you to feel complete. That's the moment that echoes in someone's mind. Because most people don't expect it. They're used to people clinging, dragging out closeness, hoping the warmth will last longer. But when you end a hug with confidence, calm, and emotional self-respect, it leaves a different kind of mark. One that lingers. The ending of a hug is often more telling than the beginning. The way you let go, the way you shift your energy, the way you transition from physical closeness back into your own space. All of that communicates something. It tells him who you are when the moment of connection passes. It tells him whether you needed that hug to validate you or whether you allowed it, enjoyed it, and then gracefully moved on without losing your center. And that's powerful. What many don't realize is that the art of letting go, both physically and emotionally, is incredibly attractive. It signals emotional maturity. It says, I can enjoy you without attaching my worth to your attention. That's rare. That's intriguing. And that's what makes a man pause and think, there's something different about her. Not because you tried to prove anything, but because your energy spoke for itself. Imagine this, he hugs you. There's connection, maybe even a little chemistry. And then instead of trying to linger in it, instead of using it as a way to fish for reassurance, You simply breathe into the moment and let go with presence. You gently release your arms. Take a half step back. Meet his eyes with a soft smile or a relaxed glance and return to yourself. That right there, that's the moment he won't forget, because it wasn't needy, it wasn't abrupt, it was graceful, like someone who values connection but doesn't chase it. That kind of emotional balance catches people off guard. In a good way, it creates contrast, because in a world where many people cling too long or pull away too fast, your calm, centered presence stands out. You show that you're emotionally available, but not emotionally dependent. And that message gets stored in his memory, not as a conscious thought, but as a feeling. Being around you feels effortless, safe, but also just a little out of reach in the most magnetic way. This doesn't mean you should become cold or emotionally distant. Quite the opposite. It means you allow yourself to enjoy emotional closeness fully, and you're also capable of releasing it without panic. You're someone who can hold intimacy and then let it go, trusting that if it's real, it doesn't have to be forced. That energy is rare, and rare becomes unforgettable. The way you walk away from that hug is just as important as the hug itself. It's like closing a song on the perfect note. Not rushed, not drawn out, just right. You don't need to overthink it. Just focus on being fully present in the moment. Let your energy speak before your body moves. Don't stiffen. Don't pull back too fast, like you're afraid of what the moment might lead to. But also don't hold on, hoping it will change something. When it feels natural, let your arms release, let your breath shift, and allow your body to return to a neutral space. That movement, when done calmly, says more than words ever could. And when your energy is relaxed, you make him feel relaxed. But not only that, you make him curious. He starts to wonder. She's warm, she's confident, she didn't rush away, but she didn't cling either. Who is she? That curiosity becomes the mental thread that pulls him back to the memory. It wasn't just the hug, it was how you left the moment. That's the feeling that stayed. There's a kind of confidence that doesn't announce itself. It just leaves behind a sense of peace. And when a man experiences that kind of peace in your presence, even if it was just in the way you let go of a hug, he starts to crave that energy again. Not because you manipulated anything, but because your emotional clarity created a rare experience. Closeness without pressure. We're wired to chase what gives us emotional depth without emotional chaos. And that's exactly what you offer when you know how to end a moment with intention. You didn't push him away. You didn't drag it out. You didn't make the hug more than it was. You let it be real. You let it breathe, and then you let it go with warmth still in your energy. That's how you stay soft and powerful at the same time. He might walk away and not even know why he's thinking about you. He'll replay the hug, not because it was perfect in some technical sense, but because it left him feeling something rare, closeness that didn't try to capture him. That paradox, being emotionally available while also emotionally sovereign, is what makes a person unforgettable. You don't have to say anything clever when you let go. Sometimes just a calm smile or even a little silence speaks the loudest. Because in that quiet moment, you're telling him, I'm good. Whether you stay or go, I'm still whole. That kind of presence is rare, and people remember rare. So the next time you hug someone, especially someone you're interested in, pay attention to how you leave the moment. Let the parting be just as intentional as the connection. Let go with grace, step back with ease, and return to your center like you never left it. That's how you create a moment that isn't just shared, it's remembered.